In a world with entirely too many shows about cars, this is another pointless automotive podcast.
What is shaking, sir?
What's up, man? Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another Pointless Automotive podcast.
Zoom edition.
Yeah, Zoom edition. We're scaling back production values, clearly. We're both locked down, but no, thanks for joining us again, guys. Again, another Pointless Automotive podcast, your favorite place to come for pointless automotive nothingness. I don't know.
Or at least your 11th favorite. It doesn't have to be like your true favorite, but you're here, so we appreciate that.
Have we made it? We've made it on the charts. We're 11.
I don't know. Maybe the charts in your hearts, but I don't know. I don't know if we're trending. Probably trending downwards as typical.
That's still a trend.
It is. Yes, and yeah. What did you, Chadwick? You proposed a topic for today. What is that topic? What are your thoughts on the subject, sir? What are we going to pointlessly discuss today?
Yeah, I think we're gonna get into something. There's cars in the history of automobiles that have had weird features or that have been kind of oddities when these vehicles came out, and maybe still are considered odd. But we are gonna go ahead and name some features that were considered oddities that we want to become mainstream. We want these features to totally sell out and quit the counterculture. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to kind of go back and forth and just kind of dig in and see what we should make for the masses.
Hell yeah, brother. Let's see if we can buck the trends that are out there right now and get some truly unusual, kind of crappy or not crappy, depending on your opinions of these things, and get them to be mainstay.
Yeah, let's get weird. The only rule is cite the feature and then cite the vehicle that you know it from.
Okay.
If you can do that.
I think we can.
You want to kick us off, Frank? I think you got something there.
I feel like some of these are going to overlap a little bit. I'm going to start extremely low rent, extremely simple. It's it's struggle to even call it a feature, but I believe the Volvo 740 that I owned for not all that long had this feature, and I've seen it on other Volvos, and I think some other cars too. I don't remember particularly, but have you ever seen on the inside of the windshield of a vehicle, a little clear plastic clip that will be usually on the driver's side, maybe 4 inches up the pillar, and it'll be tucked behind, actually affixed to when they put the windshield in and it adheres in, it'll actually clip in there. And it's purely for a parking pass, or if you go and you pay for parking at a baseball game and you got the little receipt guy you're supposed to leave on your dash.
Right.
You just keep it right there. That's the simplest thing. How is that not on every single car? It's just...
My Volvo S40 T5 had that.
Yeah.
So it's totally a Volvo thing.
And it's so simple. It has to cost them, unless it somehow really hangs up the production line because a dude's got to come in and plop it in before the windshield sticks in.
Sure.
I can't imagine it's terribly expensive to do. And it's once you have a car with that, you're like, oh, this makes all the sense in the world. How come this isn't just as universal as a turn signal?
Right.
Why people?
12 cents of plastic. I think that's going to be our answer for everything. Why these don't exist on everything, right? It's the extra cost, right? Times 100,000.
Yes, but I don't know. What's the most modern Volvo you've sat in?
I've sat in the S. What was it? S60 T5 in 2018, something like that. Okay. That feature was not there, and I don't think it was in. I don't think it was in the S60s or V70Rs either. Huh. I don't remember seeing. I've sat in a few of those.
Well, I know the newer ones, a lot of the newer ones, they're now built in China.
Correct.
And so that whole production system has kind of changed. I don't know. I hope it's still around. I hope somebody's carrying that on into the future.
That's a pretty good one. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
It's a feature, but I don't know. It's just so silly. I make this happen.
Yeah, I could get behind that. I got another one for you. Dual sunglass storage.
Okay. I feel like I've had a car or two that has had that. Although, just in the overhead, in the overhead console.
Yeah. So early 2000s Subaru Foresters had it. My XT had it. And they're just two in a row where the normal sunglass thing is you push and it pops down. You can pull your sunglasses out. It has two in a row, which makes sense because it's a bigger vehicle. Any crossover, right? You usually have two adults in there.
Well, that's how you know it's truly outdoorsy, right? That it can handle like everyone's got to wear sunglasses because it's sunny out and you're being out in the world. And look how forestery we are. We're gonna have two sunglass holders. Like,
yeah, you put your safety goggles in the other one for cutting wood because that's what you're doing in your forester, right? You're foresting.
Exactly. Yeah, I just immediately flash back to the opening scene of Commando, where Arnold is shirtless in the woods, just like with a huge log over his shoulder, like jogging through the forest or something, because he just cut down a tree with his bare hands and in his grit and determination.
That movie's underquoted. I mean, I still love Predator for its lines, but man, Commando had some gems, and it's often overlooked.
So don't mind my friend. No, it isn't. Please don't bother my friend. He's dead tired after he like broke the guy's neck on the airplane. And then he just leaps out of the airplane and lands in a bog and it just like hits the ground running.
Of course. And then Predator, when he throws the knife through the guy, stick around.
Stick around. Let off some steam, Bennett, when he kills the guy at the end of Commando.
So good. Yes. Often overlooked. Yes. But yeah, no, I put that on there because it totally makes sense because, you know, you get in someone else's car. Man, I forgot my sunglasses in my car.
Right.
How much does that little plastic fold down thing cost, really? And it makes sense. Right. I mean, you have nothing up there anyway. You know, why not stick a dual sunglass holder? So I thought it was pretty cool.
Maybe my GMT 800 Suburban has that, but I don't know. I feel like I've owned a car once upon a time that had the double holders. I can't remember. It wasn't the Lexus RX that had a single one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think I've only seen it on the Foresters, so maybe it exists out there. I know the new ones do not have that because I had a 2015. So another cool feature. It makes sense.
So we're 2 for 2 for features that are purely crafted out of plastic. I don't know if I have other ones in here that are all plastic. I have one that's maybe, and I feel like this might be on your list. Maybe not though, but it's one of the most interesting features. And this was a heavily plastic vehicle, but the Pontiac Aztec tent.
Oh man,
the tent that you can get with your Pontiac Aztec, and I assume there's probably one or two other vehicles that have like, you know, you can from the factory order like a rooftop tent on your Tacoma or something like that. There's probably ways you can do it, but I mean like the whole hatch opens up and it has a tent that like Predator face, like alien xenomorph face huggers onto the back, but then it has like, it's an actual proper tent designed for the vehicle that you can order as part of a package or whatever. Like how cool would that be on, I mean, anything. Like there's so many different things that you can have that any SUV of pick your flavor. We live in an ocean of SUVs now.
Right.
You know, it just seems, it's cool. And it's funny that didn't take off, especially in like today's, you know, I'm sure they're available in the aftermarket world, but in today's like overland trendiness, van life type thing, like you'd think it would be totally almost near universal on like anything remotely outdoorsy and hatchy.
Yeah, what's cool is you can still find those original owners, or at least like those owners that kept it intact, and you can buy an Aztec with the tent still with it, which is the only way I'd buy an Aztec at this point.
I think I saw there's like a bright screaming yellow one at the time of this recording on Cars and Bids that has it's in killer shape. It's got like goofy graphics down the side, and it's got the original Aztec tent that came with it. And it's like, I don't know, that's just super cool. And it's, you know, and whether even if you use it twice, like just the coolness of that, like, and having it and I don't know, it's rad. And I'm kind of curious why it never kind of took off as something that's available on anything remotely outdoorsy.
I think the other obligatory add-on you need if you're going to purchase an Aztec is a Heisenberg sticker somewhere on the vehicle.
Oh, is that part of the deal?
I think it goes with it. Yeah, it just makes sense.
There you go. Just it'll throw people off the scent for when you're actually cooking up drugs.
Which is too often. Okay, I've got one for you.
Okay, fire.
Folding stowaway infotainment screens.
Okay.
Today we just have tablets sticking oddly out of, you know, what used to be just a nice smooth dashboard, right?
Sure.
Just a big old tablet stuck there, or stuck on the front where the radio and HVAC controls traditionally were.
Okay.
let us go back. My Lexus CT has one that I can control and fold, because I don't always want a glaring screen in front of me. I know you can shut it off, but you still have this big screen here on modern vehicles, and it looks clunky. If you're not using it, why do you need a blank screen in front of you? Shout out to Volvo again. When they used to have, I don't know if you remember the nav screens that popped out of the dash.
Yeah, it just came straight up.
90% chance they have failed at this point in time on most of them.
It's funny you mentioned that. I was just imaging it was a DB9, Aston Martin DB9, 17,000 mile car, and it has the same thing, except it's like literally, I think, a Garmin brand.
Okay, like, that makes sense.
That would pop up. It just whirs itself up, and it wasn't whirring up. It was just stuck down there. And it's like, great, this 17,000 mile car. And I guess it's a super common problem. Little plastic gears age and become brittle and blow up.
Yep.
Like every 80s VDO instrument cluster and odometer. And the same deal. So
the Volvo ones had a habit of just like staying in the dash, but my Lexus one works fine. Even on your favorite car, the SC430, they had that cool like covering that went down over the infotainment. It's just something like to clean up the interior a lot. I know the reason they don't do it is because cost. It costs a lot to have that moving part versus a fixed screen. I totally get that.
And I feel like now the trend is to have it so freaking big, where like the screen is larger than like an 8.5, 11 slice of paper.
Right.
Like it becomes just increasingly more difficult to make it hide away. And also I think initially it was done where like people were like, oh, look at that fancy new screen. I'm going to break in and steal this thing. And that's kind of, I don't think it's a thing. I don't think people are breaking into Teslas and like using a chainsaw to excise the screen out of it. I don't know. I don't think that's the case, but I think that's why it was done. And now it's like, I think for old heads like us, where it's like, oh, it's breaking up the lines, and like we have this appreciation for design versus like the newer buyer. They're like, wait, where's my screen? Like, I don't want to wait the 0.7 seconds it takes for the cover to go away or for it to pop out of the dash or something. I think it just, I don't know. I think I would love that as a feature. And you would love that as a feature, but I think today's consumer would be like, where's my screen?
Well, yeah, you get in a modern vehicle and you're like driving at night and you're like, where's the button to dim just the screen? Because it's freaking annoying. You have like a TV in front of your face when you're trying to drive at night. So did you just say night panel?
Night panel, baby.
No,
night panel. Is that on your list?
Of course it is, dude.
Boy. I don't have it on my list, but just talking about it was like, oh, that's got to be on somebody's list, right? The night panel.
Yeah, let's edge on with that one. We'll save that for later. We'll just do the little tease right now.
Little teaser, okay.
Night panel coming up.
Sob mode. Sob shout out. Boy, okay. So we've gone from some plastic stuff to an Aztec tent on a plastic vehicle to the pop-up or hideable nav screen for something wildly different. And I first picked this up. I noticed it in I think it was I don't remember what trim level, but an earlier Porsche Panamera.
Okay.
Where it has like, on most cars, the door check, you open the door and there's like maybe 2 or 3 like little divots in the door check where the door will hold itself, like partially ajar, 3/4 of the way, all the way, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's infinitely variable. So wherever you open the door, wherever you leave it, it'll just automatically right there hold.
Wow.
And you push a little bit more, and it just, and I'm pretty sure it's on other things now, like other, like high-end luxury vehicles and things like that, like Rolls Royces and whatnot. But it's really interesting because I can't imagine, I mean, maybe it is, maybe it's like shockingly expensive to make, but I can't imagine it's that much more expensive. It's a door check.
Could be like some electromagnetic feature though, right? Like
I don't think so, because I mean,
you think there's mechanical like linkages that keep it at certain distances?
I feel like it's like maybe it's hydraulic or something. I don't know, but I haven't like dissected to figure out what it takes to make it work.
Pull the door pin off. We'll take a look at it next time we get a Panamera.
Well, it's interesting, right? Well, it's interesting just because it adds such like a hot, like just that simple thing adds such like a high level of like, oh, like class.
It's
when you
nice.
open it, it's like, ooh, and it just feels different. It feels expensive. And it's one of those touches where like, let's say it adds like a whole, like, let's say it is kind of expensive. And by kind of expensive, it's like $60 a car or something.
Right.
To add that, right? But if you're trying to craft like the image of some higher end luxury brand or whatever, it's probably worth it because that's the very first thing when somebody walks up, whether they're a driver or a passenger, and they go to open the door, and it's like, oh, this is nice. Like it's the
Yeah.
first impression. And so I don't know why it isn't more popular. Maybe it is. Maybe it's become slightly more popular, and I'm just not hanging out with nice new cars enough to realize it. But I
Yeah.
don't think that it is, and it's very cool. And I think it just adds so much, gravitas to your first interaction with a cool car.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm a big fan of when the doors like open almost 90 degrees or past that 90 degree
Also
mark
cool.
because you can get
Yeah.
a lot of big stuff in and out. It's easy to get egress, ingress of the car.
Yep.
I think that's a good touch. I remember like when you had 3 settings, that was cool because that narrow one's really important too. So you don't like
Right.
open your door and like the thing goes flying like most of the shit boxes I own.
Right. Yes.
Send it to the
Interesting.
next car.
That's always good. Also, quick shout out on that same thing. How about hoods, like on like a 190E or some of the older Benz stuff, where it opens like straight up 90 degrees?
Love it. Yeah, that's
so fun, so good.
That's why prop rods suck in a lot of cases because a lot of prop rods kept the hood down pretty low.
Yeah.
And replacing with hydraulic shocks really helps too. Like cars with hydro shocks tend to go a lot higher too.
Yep.
Shout out to that's a good one. Yeah, extra opening hoods. I like that.
There you go. Open it all up, baby.
Yeah. How about this one? Heads up display.
Yes. You know
Good
what?
old HUD.
HUDs are cool. I don't know. I've never owned a car with a HUD.
Because it's odd and we need more of it.
I suppose. Although I think things are trending that way, right? Isn't the new C8, does that have a HUD? Or did I make that up in my brain?
I think there were always Corvettes with that option, right? Starting with C5.
Maybe.
Yes, I believe
I think
so.
that sounds right.
But heads-up display, I'm talking about the one specifically on my 93 Pontiac Bonneville SSE Supercharged. So heads-up display, so if you've never been in a car with a HUD, even a primitive HUD like that, it's just so cool that you're never looking down to your instrumentation. You're always like looking through the windshield. It's not too intrusive because especially back then, it was just like a faint green digital clock display, right? Your standard readout.
Right. Yep.
But it had basic stuff. It had just your speed, had your turn signal if you use the turn signal. But on that car, it also had every warning light integrated. So if you were low on fuel, it said check gauges, and they went with the spelling of GAGES, which I thought was stellar.
Oh,
and I'm like, did they typo on the HUD? And then I looked at the little info screen, and it's the same spelling, which is an actual acceptable way to spell gauges. I researched that.
It's like gray versus gray, like with an E or with an A.
Exactly. Well, they saved 2 cents by chopping off a character, right? So I think that's
true.
That's the decision. But just, I think HUDs are cool because honestly, you're not looking around. You're not looking at your instrumentation. And I know it seems intuitive to take your eyes off the road for a second, but man, it's always there. And you can pull your focus back, see your speed, or you're just looking at the road. It's like, I don't know. To me, it just seems like a smart feature.
Yeah, no, for sure. And what's interesting is I feel like it is slowly becoming more popular, but also at the same time, you have stuff like a Tesla, which just has like the old like Prius and Saturn Ion treatment, where it's like in the middle. Like you actually have to move your eyes farther away from the road. Yeah, which I despise. I can't. I really dislike that. Toyota Echo was another one that did that, where like the cluster was in the center.
Yep.
Not
Mini
where
Cooper
it normally is.
Mini Cooper had the Speedo, the big Speedo with the turbo versions, but you did have the digital on your little tack. So
you did have at least a little something. But it was interesting. It's interesting. It's just like kind of reinventing the wheel. People are like, "Hey, let's make it easier. We'll integrate a HUD," or it's like, "We'll make it more difficult." But look how quirky we are. It's over here. And I don't know. It's interesting, and it's funny you say about the whole gauge, GAGE, is my Barracuda. So on the little flipper to push it on the interior rearview mirror.
Okay.
There's like night mode, so you push night. You push it for night. NITE, not NIGHT. NITE, night. It's like, oh, okay, we're gonna save a character.
That might have been trademarked. Who knows, right? Like,
who knows?
Night mode. But yeah, the new cars have like you can get your nav on your heads-up display, which is pretty cool. Yeah, man, I just think that's a really cool feature, and you don't think it's valuable until you have it. And I'm like, this totally makes sense. So
yeah, no, it's interesting. Should that be the perfect segue from we were talking about night mode, or should we continue to tease night panel?
Let's continue to tease it. You got to tease it before you please it.
That's what I've always said that. Speaking, I don't know. I'm trying to find a way to segue from that. You know what's an interesting one, and I know it was on the '80s Toyota vans. They had an in-console ice maker.
Yeah, okay. I thought you were going to go weird like that.
The in-console ice maker, which it's kind of silly to think about, but like, I don't know. I feel like that, like, there's many instances where I'd be like, oh, it would be handy to have ice right now. Like, you know, little Jack or little Sally skin their knee and they want some ice. You know, we've got it right here. You know,
I thought you were talking about Jack on the rocks when you're driving.
Well, that too, exactly, and that's not so little Jack. And so yeah, some gentleman Jack. There's that too. You know, I'm sure there's a myriad of other cases where, like, you know, yeah, just you're out tailgating. You know, there's lots of camping. There's plenty of use cases, and I get it. I think it is a little gimmicky, but I think it's a gimmick that, like, I don't know. I think people would order that depending on not everything, right? Like, you wouldn't want it in a sports car. That's silly.
Yeah.
But you know, any overlanding-ish family truckster, I think, should have it, and we're swimming in those vehicles and bring that back. I want my
oh no.
I want my off-roading, like, crossover or SUV to have an ice maker and a tent.
I like it.
That's what I want.
Honorable mention was the old Saab air-conditioned glove boxes that you could keep your chocolate nice and cold and not melting.
Exactly.
I thought that's where you were going. Damn.
No, what's funny is for a few years, my wife, we had bought her a new, it was a 2011 Kia Sportage.
Okay.
And there was, in the back of the glove box, there was just like a little slider, and you would slide it and it would just open up into, like, the HVAC. And so if you had the heater on full bore, it would blow in heat. If you had it on full cold, it would just blow cold into the glove box.
Okay, weird.
And so cool. kind of similar deal. And it was just like a little plastic slider you would slide, almost like you have, like, vanity mirror in a visor.
Yeah,
but, like,
that's cool.
Slide it, and it had a little grate, so, like, you don't slide it and just fill your HVAC system with, like, pennies and candy wrappers. But similar deal, yeah.
When that door breaks, you have no, like, air coming out of your vents because there's no pressure.
Hold on. You know what I just realized? the Toyota van I have right here. Toyota van.
Oh, look at that!
An unopened.
Look at this guy. He's a collector. Play with that thing.
I'm something. Okay. What else? What else you got?
So this one's kind of cool. T-tops.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Dude, and I'm gonna go off on T-tops for a little bit.
T or Targa?
T for sure. Because with T-tops, I mean, you had 80s Camaros, Trans Ams, name it. Just about everything came standard with a T-top option. 300ZX has it. My, NX 2000. It was pretty common because convertibles were dangerous. Remember?
Oh yeah.
But T-tops, man, versus a convertible, you keep a lot of your structural rigidity. You don't need a lot of space. It's not like stowing a whole roof. You literally can pop the panels off. They usually have some kind of accommodation, whether it be a strap or like a cool leather holder to put it in the trunk area. It's just so easy to pop on and off, takes seconds. And it's nearly a full convertible experience in a lot of cases.
Yeah, no, they're cool. Is there anything that's still available right now with a T-top? I can't think of anyone off the top of my head.
I mean, you could argue like the removable roofs on, like, I don't know, Broncos, kind of that same feeling.
Yeah, because those and like they're kind of modular, right? Like you can pull them off in chunks.
Exactly.
Same with the new Jeeps.
Right. But the T-tops, man, it just made so much sense. You could take those two panels off. And then sometimes you had just like on the 300ZX, it had the plastic panels you could pull off on the inside and still have like a full giant panoramic glass roof, which was now a feature on most luxury vehicles, right?
Okay. If you were automotive god for a day, which you are, but pretend that you actually had control as an automotive god. What on the market right now, if you got to snap your fingers and this vehicle gets a T-top option, what would it be?
Bro, like, do it with like a Camaro or something.
Camaro would be dope.
How cool would that be to go fucking full retro graphics?
That'd be sick.
That might be a great idea, actually.
Yeah, that's a good one. I was gonna say the Subiota twins.
Oh yeah, that'd be sweet.
I think that'd be cool.
That'd be also very cool. Yeah, I just imagine if they did a retro Camaro though. I mean, that'd be dope.
Were there ever T-tops on something that wasn't a two-door?
I don't. Would it?
Like, how sick would it be to have like a 4-door where like the T-top also goes over the back?
I'm kind of now I'm thinking because you had the weird stuff like the sidekicks had removable roofs, but that was just like a removable
Right.
sunroof panel.
Yeah, same with the Suzuki X90 was
Yep.
available with a T-top. Same with the Brat, I think you can get with the T-top as well.
Yep, the Rav4, you could remove the top, the sunroof portion. It wasn't a true T top, but
Right. Yeah, but I mean like a straight up 4-door, 4-seat or 4-door
yeah.
T-top. I
Huh?
don't know. I don't
I don't
think it's
know.
existed.
Yeah, I think
Comment.
it's a
React.
two door coupe feature. I think. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, T tops, man. I mean, it seems like a no brainer. I mean, they were leak prone, but not any more than a convertible top. And it's just
right.
The thing is, you don't have to redesign a whole car to put a T top in.
Correct.
Right? Because a convertible, you got to have a place to put the roof.
Right.
And also, like operating convertible tops,
probably regulation. There's all kinds of regulatory hurdles you got to jump through.
100%. And like to operate a convertible top, I mean, we take Miatas for granted. Probably one of the best, well-designed convertible tops. There are a lot of convertible tops out there that suck butt. That are really complicated, very convoluted. But T-tops, man,
prone to fail. Yeah.
Literally 2 levers, pop them, pull them out, put them in the trunk, go.
Can I stay on the topic of roofs?
Yeah, I'll allow it. That sounds fair.
The Rolls Royce in like the Ghost or Phantom or whatever, the Starlight roof, where you have like the LED, like twinkle starry night roof on your headliner.
Love it. Yeah.
Yeah. And now I understand like why it's not more popular. But it's genuinely awesome. It's so freaking cool.
It's so
even
cool.
If like, I don't know how expensive that option is on those cars because I rarely am I pricing going on to like the build your own.
I feel your pain on that one. Yeah.
But I imagine it's probably something crazy. It's probably like an $11,000 option or something like that.
Dude, we just take one of our hoopties, put LEDs up there, poke some pinholes. We're good.
Oh, I bet you there's got to be out there some like $800 aftermarket full kit that like has like a 12% chance of burning your car to the ground.
Oh, heck yeah.
It might be worth it depending on the car, right? You're going to go and order yourself up a Rolls Royce real quick and click that button.
I mean, look, it's totally a gimmick, but totally awesome, right? And it fits with what the car is. Yeah, their interiors are just out of this world. I think it makes sense.
Can you imagine that on a T-top? So like the T-top, so when that way you have like the T-top or even a convertible. So like the inside of the convertible roof has that, and then when you're like, I want the real thing, you just like push the button, and then the roof goes away, and then you have the real stars on a starry night.
You have the constellations lined up perfectly because you timed it that well. Yeah.
Yeah, they should make. Yeah, exactly. Like I wonder. You know what? I bet you it's something silly. Rolls Royce is like probably silly enough where they go like, oh, whatever that star. Like the stars are probably aligned to like the actual like coordinates of the factory where they're built or something like that. So like you have the view of the night sky from wherever, Greenwich or wherever I'm not sure where they make those cars.
Another $50,000 they'll put your birth zodiac sign in the roof for you.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. From like the day you were born, like what the night sky looked like up to the hour or something like that.
You're Custom. A Libra, aren't you? No, that's a good one. I like that one a lot. And I think we've teased this one a bit. But night panel mode, baby.
The nighttime is the right time for the night.
Yeah, so night panel mode, if you've ever owned a Saab or been in a Saab, you might have seen this interesting looking button that's kind of nondescript, right? It just says night panel off to the side. Boy, your world's going to change when you press that button, though. So, I mean, first off, fighter jet. It's cool. Second off, it's just such a cool feature because everything in the cabin goes dim, basically, save for your speedometer, which is like right in the center of the gauge cluster. And it's kind of a cool experience if you've never done it. If you accidentally hit it, you think you might have blown some fuses, but in reality, it's like it's a cool ass feature. And I don't know, man, it just diminishes light pollution inside the cabin, makes it very easy to focus on just speed and driving. And dude, it's cool as hell, man. I mean, what else can we say? I mean, that seems like an easy feature where it deactivates the gauges and the lighting.
Yeah, no, it's at the push of a button, and it's smart. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, Saab is chock full of little interesting, quirky features that managed to not get picked up by other manufacturers, and some have. I'm sure they're pretty cutting edge of safety equipment in like the 70s and stuff like that. But that one did also get picked up somewhere, especially now with like screens and everything in the interior getting brighter and more more attention seeking.
Sure. Your line,
like
your line was perfect. Not getting picked up by other automakers. That's Saab in a nutshell, right?
Right. Well, no, they got picked up and then dropped by other automakers. Like GM and Spiker and I'm sure I'm missing somebody in there somewhere.
Back to the foster home. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm unadopting this crazy weird pet.
God, we should adopt Saab. We gotta wait till it goes full like bottom dollar. Scoop in there.
Yeah, I mean,
get a big old helping of Saab and fix
somebody
it up.
somewhere. I mean, somebody somewhere owns the. I wonder who owns the rights to it. Somebody somewhere owns the rights to it.
Probably whoever. I don't know. I'm sure it's in someone's hands. It's probably like an Indian or Chinese
I think Spiker
company.
ended up selling it before Spiker disappeared.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know, some weird consortium owns it somewhere, and I don't know what they're doing with it, but maybe they'll bail it out one day. We'll find a huge bag of money, and then we'll buy the rights to Saab, and then I don't know, do nothing with it. I don't know what we would do with it.
We'll make Saab great again.
Saab stories. I have a feature that is I'm just gonna leave like this. I want good fucking colors on cars. It's so annoying. Like when you go look at like, oh, there's this interesting car, and you go and look and like do the configurator or whatever, just play around and window shop a little bit, and it's like you get to pick white or black or like 3 different grays. Maybe a second black, right? Maybe one's metallic, and you got to pay an extra like $1,800 for the metallic flake in your black,
right?
And then maybe a blue, but it's not really a blue; it's really just like a bluish gray. So it's really just a 4th gray, and then a silver, which is sparkly gray, and that's it. And there's nothing more interest. There's nothing better than good colors on cars. It's super important. Like there's cars that like I would be like, oh, I would consider buying that car, except it's like only available in these like soul-sucking boring colors. And there were chunks of time where colors were, and there's still manufacturers that do a good job with colors.
Yeah.
Namely a lot of the German ones. And sometimes you have to pay something obscene to be able to get that fancy color, but you can still get it. I don't know, man. I want, like you can't get any Tesla in any color of interest at all, period. I don't know. I want colors. Give me colors. That's a feature that is not picked up enough. It's like, and they don't have to be super like garish, but just like, I want an option of more than like several grays and like one not bright enough red and one dull blue. And that's it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, the monochromatic stuff's kind of sad. I think Porsche is doing a great job. Who else would you say has an interesting color palette available?
I think Audi has some interesting colors.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on, I know they've got like a couple of good greens. They've got some, I think on like an RS3 you can get that like thermonuclear like lizard green.
Oh heck yeah.
And I think I know, and I think I showed you before how you can, on the Mercedes-Benz configurator, you can option out like a GLA 45 in what they call rose gold, which is like a pink. It's like a metallic pink gold color, and I think that's fantastic. Like that's absolutely the way to spec that car. So there's some manufacturer, but like, ooh, the GR Corolla's out, and you look and it's in like no good colors at all. It's like a really good car, but like, do you want it in gray, or do you want it in black, or do you want it in white? I think that's it. Like, I don't know. I don't remember off the top of my head, but like, I think that's genuinely it.
Which is a shame, because you could get the Corolla, like the Corolla hatchback with a 6-speed manual, and get that fantastic blue. That's kind of reminiscent of what the Focus RS came with, that gorgeous blue they were rocking.
Yeah. Or like, and that's the one thing Hyundai does well. Like the Elantra N and like all the other, like the cool Veloster N has that cool, whatever they call it, performance blue or something like that.
It's like a baby blue kind of deal. It's pretty nice.
And even then though, that's like one good color, and then you can get like black, red, or gray.
Right.
Or white. And you're like, okay, like at least they offer one interesting color that's like their like quote unquote brand color. Which is fine. But colors, man, I want good colors. That needs to come back.
Yeah, 100% with you on that one. That's why we buy old 80s and 90s stuff, where everything colors were just the norm back then, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, we've nailed some pretty good stuff there. I did have one more good one to bring up here.
Okay. Yeah, what you got?
This is going to be a pricey one. I guarantee it doesn't fit with all cars, but how about active aero?
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
Featured obviously 3000 GT VR4 was one of the first forerunners in really using that technology. And then my Cayman S had it. And I know modern cars have it with the active spoiler. But man, extra grip, you get that downforce when you need it. And when you don't need it, it's gone. It's tucked away. The car looks cleaner. It just looks cool because no one likes drag, right? So tuck that shit away when you're not using it, right?
Yeah, but nobody wants clean cars anymore.
I know. Everything's funky.
If it's sporty, it's got to be super over the top, and if it's not, it has to be super understated. That's how it works.
But how cool is it to look back? I remember on my Cayman, who just had the spoiler, just seeing the spoiler come up after 75 miles an hour was so cool. But man, the 3000 GT VR4s with that active front splitter that comes down.
Yep.
It's just a cool thing to see. It says active aero on it. I mean, you can't get any cooler than that. Yeah. I just thought that was a cool feature.
That's a good one and a very cool name. Like, yeah, it's got active aero. Like,
right.
It just sounds dope.
And when you see it, you're just like, because you can demo it, right, with the button. And just when you see that, especially on an older car, it's just so cool. And then today, modern cars, you could totally do that. Get rid of those weird tacked on spoilers and splitters that are always hanging out. Yes. And just clean it up a bit. But you're right. Yeah. Clean looking cars. Yeah.
Speaking of clean looking, and one quick honorable mention I'll do is the good old pillarless coupe. We've got that no B pillar, the quarter glass, and the door glass rolls down as one, and so you have one large opening. Think your, C140 S-Class Benz coupe, right, or your CL, your various CLs, E9 BMWs, a lot of American stuff in the 60s. But with rollover, this and that, it's super hard to do now, and I get it. But man, I miss it. That's a feature that is it's just so cool. It instantly makes a car just that much more interesting. Bring it back.
That goes hand in hand with like the greenhouses of the 80s and 90s stuff, when you can get in the car and just absolutely. I call that like true active safety, because you can actively look around and see what's coming, right? Like you don't have to do any, or it would be passive safety. You don't have to do anything. It gives you that safety feature. You got to use it, but like you don't get the crash test safety things, but you get the I can see what's going to hit me thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's you can actually avoid things instead of relying on a computer to avoid things for you.
Right. Exactly. But that's fun. I thought that would be a fun thing to do, because some of these oddball things I could totally, and we spoke about, some of them are working their way back into common feature lists. So keep it up. But we like the weird stuff. That's what makes these cars cool in a lot of cases.
Plastic clip. That's all I want. Give me the plastic clip. It's so simple.
I'll take my night panel. I'll take a plastic clip with some night panel on the side.
There we go. We go. A side helping of night panel.
Well, hopefully our automotive print ad quiz car is interesting and has some cool features, because I think it does.
Oh boy.
So
are you ready? You got one queued up?
There's your first hint. I am all queued up, buddy. Do you want to introduce the game to our viewers?
Sure. Yeah, I can do that. So pretty straightforward. Chadwick here is going to get a piece of automotive print ad from a magazine, whatever, from the 80s, 90s to early 2000s, where he will then go ahead and read it while redacting out any of the overly identifying information, make, model, etc. Then it will be on me to go ahead and try and make a determination of what this vehicle is. I get 3 guesses, but between failures, I have an opportunity to ask for a hint to help guide me to the promised land. And with that said, Chadwick, you ready to quiz at me, Brett?
Oh, I got the easy seat for this one, buddy.
Oh boy.
So we'll start it off. Vehicle. This is kind of interesting. This is a one pager. Top 50% of the ad is a side profile of this specific vehicle.
Okay.
The top has a large tagline with the vehicle's name, and the tagline is "Go ahead, you deserve it."
Oh, wow.
I'm speaking right to you, Frank, on this one. Okay, so
treat me well.
Like many people of achievement, you've probably postponed some of life's special pleasures on your way to where you are. Where are we?
I don't know. It's apparently I've been spending my life edging and not actually denying my. Yeah, go ahead. Carry on.
If so, this is your time, and blank is your car.
Oh boy.
Okay, so we're gonna go in here. This is interesting. Crafted in limited numbers to exacting quality standards.
Okay.
I mean, that's every car. Every car's limited.
Some are more exacting than others, I suppose. But yeah.
So here's some specs for you. 165 horsepower, 3.8 liter V6.
Oh, okay.
It's got a counter rotating balance shaft and roller valve lifters.
Okay.
This vehicle is front wheel drive.
Okay.
You do get a 4-speed automatic transmission. I'm not sure why you bullet point that.
With electronic overdrive, perhaps?
Good
God
chance
willing.
of it.
God willing.
4-wheel anti-lock disc braking system.
Okay.
4-wheel independent suspension. Rack and pinion. We're going to include pinion on this.
Rack
Power
and
steering.
or pinion.
And or. Until they all leak.
Yes.
Full electronic instrumentation and a stainless steel exhaust system.
Oh, okay.
You do have 6-way power leather bucket seats. It doesn't say whether that's an option or that's the standard. Just to be clear. P245 6515 Eagle GT.
Okay.
Tires. So you got that. I'm not going to say the price for now.
The price? No price.
Yeah,
okay.
No price. We'll leave the price up for now. What are we talking about today, Frank?
Oh boy, that's what I get? Okay.
There's a lot there.
Some good specs there. When you say 3800 V6 with roughly 165 horsepower, my mind immediately pivots to a GM product. However, I don't know if those motors had a balance shaft. I mean, maybe they did. I don't remember specifically one way or the other. Those are balance shaft motors. And balance shaft tech, up at least to a certain time, was, I don't know if it's full on patented by Mitsubishi, but they were the kind of the gatekeepers to that technology, to the point where I think even when Porsche put it in the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder in like the 944s, they had to like hat in hand pay money, some royalty to use that tech in that motor. I think. I don't know. Boy, was that a balance shaft motor? But it reads like this. It reads like Buick to me in a lot of ways, right? Where it's just like, you know, you've wasted your life away and you've achieved so much. It's time to finally cash in that personal equity and buy yourself something nice.
Right.
Like a Buick. I'm trying to remember, did we get a door count here?
Don't believe there was a door count on this one.
Okay, so.
Yeah, no door count.
It feels like a coupe, though. Like it's trying to be like a personal luxury coupe. Oh, boy. I'm trying to remember at what point because I know the Riviera kind of came and went, and I know when it came back at one point, it was with the supercharged version of that motor. And I think you can get a non-supercharged version maybe early. Oh, boy. I'm going to say this is like a 1992 Buick Riviera. Final answer, Bob?
It's a wonderful car. I think you deserve a Riviera, but that's not the car this ad thinks you deserve, buddy.
Fair.
Riviera was a great car, though. What can I do to steer you in the right direction, my friend?
I think I'm currently stuck in the realm of just perpetually guessing a vehicle that's powered by the GM, 3800. Do I have the motor right? Am I right or wrong that this is that the 3800 V6 is the tried and true venerable GM 3800?
That's a big first hint because that narrows it right down to GM 3800 products. But
I mean, that's where I'm at right now. I'm just trying to figure out if I'm completely over my skis.
The balance shaft is tripping you up a little bit, right?
I don't know. I'm pretty confident the Ford version of that motor doesn't. Well, it could. I don't think the Ford, maybe it did get that later, but like the Essex V6, the Ford Essex V6, I don't think had a balance shaft. It might have. Kind of a dumpster of a motor.
Totally is. Well, I'll answer your advice.
Okay.
We are talking about the GM 3800, so we'll pare it down for you.
Okay. This still, I mean, they put that motor in so many damn things.
Yeah.
Every Buick ever, so many Pontiacs, a lot of Oldsmobiles. That was going to be my next guess. Was probably an Oldsmobile, but which Oldsmobile, right? Like, are we talking? Especially since I don't have a door count, but it's got four-wheel disc brakes, which, if I'm thinking, is 80s, 90s. That is more of a. It's almost more of a coupe thing. It could be. The type copy doesn't sound like it would be a Chevrolet product. Like, I don't think this is like a Lumina. I don't think that motor was in a Corsica.
I
was more than size. I don't think it would be. It could be. Could it be a Monte Carlo? Whether the Monte Carlo, I think no. But if we're talking like they're shouting out ABS, I feel like that's more in the realm of like the Lumina era. I'm gonna pivot away from Buick. I'm gonna go because I think it's more of an upscale. They're like, you deserve the nice things.
We know about these. We know about these ads.
So let's maybe I'll go to Oldsmobile. So could this be an Oldsmobile Calais?
You love that car.
I'm gonna go with that car. I don't know. I would trend like the International series, but I think, but that's almost. Boy, I'm gonna go the Oldsmobile. Man, I don't know. I'm just gonna do it. I don't think it's right, but I'm gonna go Oldsmobile Calais.
Okay. Well, it's not your father's Oldsmobile.
Call it a 1990. The same era. Say 92.
Well, it's a sin not to get that with a quad 4, but
true.
It's not your father's Oldsmobile, and this sales ad is also not an Oldsmobile.
Yeah.
You are
not
down
an Oldsmobile. So Oldsmobile is off the menu. Okay.
Correct. Another thing, a free hint. We're down to just over 4 minutes remaining.
Okay.
I do want to stress, like, you nailed it when you brought up the disc brakes. Not a lot of these early 3800s, and I did say early, 3800s did not have disc brakes all the way around.
Correct.
So if, that's something to read into.
It is.
I did say full electronic instrumentation also.
That was going to be my next thing. Is what's interesting is some of the stuff like that is more of the, and same with the disc brakes. That's more of the we build driving excitement spectrum of GM. But which is Pontiac in for the layperson. What I don't know is, but the rest of the type copy doesn't sound quite like that. Could it be like a 92, 93 Bonneville? I know you've recently come into the supercharged variant of that, and I would like to think that maybe they would say like also available with the fire breathing, supercharged 225 horses, but it didn't go that direction. I'm going to say maybe it's slightly earlier. So I'm going to say I think this is let's go with like a 1989 Pontiac Bonneville SE trim level.
The SE was the top of the trim level for that. I think it was the 8th gen Pontiac Bonneville. Unfortunately, Frank, that's not the car we're talking about today.
Oh, no.
Bonneville's,
failure.
Even the SSEIs in the later generations came with drums in the rear.
Interesting. Okay.
So
even the top dog.
Still drums.
Spec. Okay.
And there's a lot of like controversy about why they did that.
Is it back to Buick?
You going for bonus round?
I've officially lost. So
okay. Let's go with, it's Buick.
Okay.
Name that Buick. Do you have any idea? You're going to kick yourself when I say it.
It's not I said Riviera. It's Buick. Is it a Cutlass? What is it? What do we got here?
Buick Riata.
The Riata, okay.
Full instrumentation, 3800 V6. The other big thing was the full leather interior. And then, that was 6-way power leather bucket seats.
So that's the thing. Like, not only did they not talk about door count, they didn't even talk about seat count.
Correct.
Yeah. The Riata.
It is weird.
They're definitely an interesting car. They're kind of trash. I think if you found a way to like 5-speed swap one, which I have no idea what transmission you would have to like hack up to work there. But
3800 never came with a manual option. So
correct. Yeah, you'd have to maybe a quad 4, like you can coax into, like came out of some of the, like the quad 442. You pull that drivetrain out and slap it in. Maybe that'll carry over. I don't know.
That could work. But yeah, this was it was a cool ad. I wonder if I can switch my laptop around. Can you?
Yeah, there you go.
So cool.
Go ahead.
I think that, it was a good looking car. I think the full electronic gauge cluster, I think the Riata was like one of the pioneers to do that in one of these GM, and the 4-wheel disc brakes is actually super rare. Like
it didn't mention the touchscreen CRT, did it?
It didn't mention that, which is interesting. But that was only the first year, if I remember correctly.
I think first year or two. Yeah, just the early ones.
Because it was trash.
And like, this is like cripplingly expensive to produce, so we'll just not do that.
Yeah. So, yeah. I thought you were going to get there, man. You were right there with the Riviera.
Darn.
I think the Riatas look cool. I think the convertibles actually look pretty decent too. And the interiors look, I don't know, something about the red ones with that brown, like tan leather interior. It looks
the saddle.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
I'm down.
So I thought that was a cool one. And these can be had for nothing nowadays.
Yeah, like half of them, though, are donked out at this point. Like, they're very popular in the donk community.
But some of these got stowed away because they were just like, especially the convertibles weren't driven all the time. So they were stowed away with pretty low mileage. And they held up pretty good. The 3800, of course, bulletproof. And that guy's to 165 horsepower kind of gives you nailed it with the Bonneville. It was that generation of Bonneville that had the SE just had the low horsepower. They didn't have a supercharger.
Are you team Alante or team Riata?
Oh boy! Well, the Alante was like double the price, right?
It was, but like if you had to go have one now, and
Riata.
Maybe like a mid-run one with like the 4.9, like maybe not the North Star powered one.
Oh, you gotta get that North Star. I'd go Riata all day. 3800, simple engine.
I might go Alante.
Really?
I don't know.
I'd go Riata in a bright color with a convertible.
See, Riata. I would want the coupe.
Really?
I would want the coupe. Yeah,
the convertible's nice. I'm really into convertibles. I don't know what's wrong with me, man.
It's okay. Well, you know what will cure your ailments?
Some
PCP.
It makes it feel better just for a little bit of time.
It does. And then the crushing weight of reality comes back, and then say lovey.
Well, my PCP wasn't too rewarding. So
never is, to be real.
So the Bonneville, right? Yeah. I shot the review. This is the positive part. The review is very, very awesome. The car was way quicker than I thought. I think we were shooting back and forth like 9 second, 8 second, 0 to 60s.
Yeah,
right?
I guess it would do it in 8.8.
Yeah, you were closer. I said 9.2. It did a 7.88, which
not bad.
A lot of people are going to be like, oh man, anything can do that now. But on my tests, that's actually a pretty good score. That lands right with the Taurus SHO, which is no one would consider slow. Mazda Speed Miata, and really close to the E36 M3 I did, which is a 4-door manual. So weird, right? For 205 horsepower, but 260 pound-feet of torque.
Maybe the whole deal is you have too much mechanical sympathy, and all these manual transmission cars, you're not like absolutely beating the balls off of them.
Automatic,
doing these absolute murder launches. So the automatic is putting down like healthy, like better than book times. And then the manual stuff is getting let down on your because you actually have a soul and you're not trying to do like rev limiter clutch dumps on cars that aren't yours.
Well, I don't know, man. My Fiesta STD review, I beat Motor Week's 0 to 60 times. So
okay. Well, the Accord too. The Accord put down some healthy numbers, right?
Really healthy number. But I this Bonneville, and I'm on 540 all season tires on this Bonneville, so it left the sweetest like 11 down the straightaway where I do my tests. Boy. So I could definitely knock a little time off of that, but that's a healthy running car, dude. Plus the fact that it passed smog with flying colors, that's a great sign for a 30-year-old car, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the man is trying to like make those tests super restrictive and get those cars off the road. So sailing on through smog is a big deal.
Yeah, but the negative is after I did my review, the power steering pump started going. I'm gonna just drool here, have some fluid, and I could try like stop leak, but in my past, I've never been able to make that do anything more than limp a car for a few more miles. So I'm gonna replace. I'm in the process of doing the power steering pump on that. And it's something, especially because I'm planning to sell the car. I can't push it down the road, especially something this nice. So I'm going to put a fresh power steering pump in there, which means a new belt for the supercharger. So I'll probably shrink that pulley a little bit. No, I'm just kidding.
There you go. Yeah, right. While a classic while you're in there.
Right. Wow. We picked up some extra boost. But yeah, perfect. So that's it. Power steering pump. How about you, my man? What have you been doing?
Oh boy, I've been trending in the wrong direction. One thing I did do is did the pads and rotors on the front of the Civic.
Okay, nice.
Not that just keeps it rolling down the road because they were on the wear indicators for like a week.
Okay.
Which thankfully regenerative braking, so I can kind of like limp it a little bit more longer than I would normally.
Right.
But I had the parts here, it just because I knew they were getting close, and so I just got that done. And then in the other direction, the 924 had its turbocharger shit the bed on me.
Sounds like a new 924 kind of thing to do.
It is, yes. Which sucks because I was very, very close to. I was like hopefully a few weeks away from like taking to image it and get it up and sold. So now I'm kind of burnt. I don't know if I want to sell it as is or fish the turbo out and fix it. If I sell it as is, I'm going to be upside down on the car for sure.
Yeah, and just to refresh,
if I fix it, I'll probably still be upside down on the car.
Right. Well, to refresh the listeners, you just got into you did a timing belt on there. You did some other big. I
did timing belt, items. Water pump, fuel injectors.
The
whole fuel system has been gone through. It's been tuned up. I did seat covers. I did door weather strippings. I did tires. I've done all the evap system. All the rubber was rotted out, so I swapped all that out. I mean, it's ready to go. It's like chomping at the bit. The last thing I wanted to do was like there was some clunking out of the rear suspension. It might just be a blasted strut, but it's like obnoxious. Like it needs to get taken care of. Like I ordered rear struts KYBs for this car, and the next day the turbocharger shit its pants. So what I think happened is that the wastegate has a little flapper door on it. Pretty old school, like not intercooled early turbo stuff. And it's got an external wastegate assembly. Has a little flapper door that then dumps it back into the exhaust.
Yep.
And I think it's stuck shut, which is not uncommon on these. It was making noise prior, like you would hear, like you rev it up, you hear it go click, 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 like you can hear it clicking open and shut.
Weird.
And now I think what happened is I only drove it 4 miles from my house. And I just taken on a freeway run, just, knock some of the cobwebs out because I hadn't driven it in 6 weeks. And it boosted up once, twice, and then getting on the freeway, just on the on-ramp pole, it was kind of missing a little bit of like, So I kind of was babying it. And then I was struggling to maintain 50, 55.
Oh no.
And I just got it to the next exit and I pulled off. And right when I pulled over, the smoke rolled out from under the hood and I popped the hood and it was like the turbocharger was just thermonuclear red.
Oh yeah.
It
probably seized up now, right? You can't even spin it.
Yeah, it's completely locked up now. So it's back at the house now. I started it because it was barely running. I had to feed it throttle to get it to limp it off the road. I started it back up at the house once it was all good and cool, and I had sat for a couple hours waiting for a tow truck, and it fired up pretty easily, and it idled. It had a tiny bit of a miss, but it seemed to kind of clear up as it was sitting there. Doesn't want to rev over like 3,000 RPM, and the turbo's dead silent. It's not even trying to spool up. It's just sitting there. So it's converted itself to the car feels like it's got a plug cat because it's got a frozen turbocharger.
Right, effectively.
Yeah, cores are not cheap. Like eBay, there's one core on eBay right now, a rebuildable core for $1,500.
Oh no.
And that's the only one I've located. I don't know that my core is going to be any good if it's completely frozen.
Right.
So I don't know. Before I pull it apart, I want to do a compression test. Just make sure I didn't hurt anything because this is a non-intercooled motor. So if this turbo fell apart and it ingested some bits and pieces, there's nothing to catch it. It's just going right down the hatch.
Yeah.
And it's also, if it got too hot too, it could have, I could have burned a hole in a piston or burned the back of a valve, something. I don't think I did because it seems to idle okay.
Right.
But before I spend $1,500 on just a core, I want to make sure that the motor's healthy. So that's where that's at. It's not fun. It is.
This isn't a very uplifting episode of Project Car Progress.
It's okay. Stuff can break between here and next episode too. So
it surely will. I mean, I might even do another power steering pump. Who knows?
Hey, why not?
Well, I'm at it.
Well, on that note,
let's close this up.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out and tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. We are another Pointless Automotive podcast. Chadwick, where can you be found on in the world?
In the world of the internet's auto obsessive garage, check out my project restoration, rescue crap boxes. Sometimes do reviews. Might have a Bonneville review coming up soon. Also on Instagram. How about Frank? Where can they find your great photography work?
Oh boy, you make me blush. The Photographer's Garage, that's on Instagram, occasionally farting around on YouTube, and occasionally in the club, in my garage, and that's kind of it. So thanks for putting up the Zoom episode, folks. We'll probably have another one coming down the pipe in Zoom form, so be prepared for that. Keep tuning in, and yeah.
As always, thank you guys. Take care.